It's showtime.
Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is going to be my Arnold Schwarzenegger collection, specifically my Blu-ray Steelbook collection. And I've been waiting to do this for the new Total Recall Steelbook to come out, and it has just arrived. So we are going to go through my current collection of Blu-ray Steelbooks. Now, Black Friday is actually tomorrow, so knowing my luck, there'll be something that is released tomorrow that I haven't got, but there you go. Now, there's actually plenty of Schwarzenegger movies that actually haven't got a Steelbook release, and some that don't even have Blu-ray releases, really. So there's still a lot to go with the Schwarzenegger collection, so let's show you what I've got. I'm going to start off with the movies that don't feature Schwarzenegger as much, and that really is the Expendables. And this one here is the UK edition of the original movie. So we won't spend too long on the Expendables, but we'll just rattle through them. This next one is the French version. Probably my favourite out of the first one, because it obviously features the cast really, and that's kind of why I like that. Next up we have the American version, which I think is actually not technically a steelbook, and it's like a, you know, one of these steelbook kind of knockoff, so to speak. But anyway, that is the American version, Viva Metal Pack or whatever they're called. And then we have the German version. There's actually a couple of German versions. So a couple, obviously I've only got this one so far. But yeah, this is probably also one of the better ones, if you ask me, because it has that cool skull logo on there. Number two, this is the British version. This probably is one of the easiest steelbooks to get in the UK. This one always comes up and is really, like I say, one of the most common steelbooks available here in England. We have the German version of number two. This one has a lenticular magnet on it. And possibly the magnet version, at least, is, I think, a retailer exclusive. Very similar to the English version. This is the American, like, Viva Metal Pack. Moving on to the third movie, this is the UK version, and out of the three Expendables movies, this one tends to be the one that is the hardest to find, but also the lowest rated, at least by most people. And that is the American version. Then we will move into his other kind of like co-starring role. This again with Stallone. Escape Plan. This is a UK Blu-ray steelbook from Zavvi with some quite distinctive artwork, I have to say. And then we have the same film, except this is called Evasion, because this one's actually the French version, so a different title here.
All right, everyone, chill.
Allow me to break the ice.
Now a Schwarzenegger movie that I loathe, Batman and Robin. This is the 4K Zavvi steelbook that came out. There's also another version of this, like a non-4K one. I really don't want to spend a lot of money on these ones. I only got it because it's a steelbook that I haven't got of Schwarzenegger. But I really loathe this movie. So I got this one cheap, and I'll if I see the other one cheap, I'll pick it up. But I'm not spending a lot of money on that.
Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
But here's a movie that I do enjoy, and this is the Conan the Barbarian. Now this one's actually a metal pack, and this one is the German version. heavily embossed title. There you go. And then we have the UK version. This was a Zavvi exclusive. Now I should explain, there are actually two versions of this UK Conan Steelbook. Zavvi actually released a second pressing of it some years later after this initial one. So this is the first one. And the second pressing, you can tell the difference because it isn't embossed. This has got the title embossed. It's got this kind of border around it. I think the picture is a little bit more zoomed out, and the logo is slightly different. But the most telling way is the J card, or the kind of not the J card. The back of the Steelbook has completely different artwork on it. So that is this one is the original release, but like I say, you can get a re-release version of this as well. We also have a Spanish release, and this one is both Conan movies, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destructor. Now this is known as a sticker pack steelbook, where essentially it is a blank steelbook with stickers that are simply put on to cut down on production costs. Some people don't like them, so you know, some people will be less fussed with this particular Spanish version, and you know, it isn't as quite as good looking, to be honest, but you know, there it is. And this is the French version. Now this also has Conan the Destroyer with it. This, out of the 4 Conan Steelbooks, is probably the one that is the least common, the most scarce, and goes for the most amount of money. There you go, Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. Moving on to Schwarzenegger's one of his attempts at more serious acting, and one of the kind of the few horror type titles that he'd done. This one, Maggie, which was a dramatic zombie film, not particularly good, if I'm honest. I mean, it's an okay story wise, but it's just not a particularly exciting movie.
Now this is the plan. Get your ass to Moss.
Total Recall, as you can probably tell, I don't really have these in any order outside of the co-starring ones first. This is the most recent Steelbook in the collection, and this one is the Total Recall 4K Steelbook with obviously newly commissioned artwork there. And this was my latest one. This is what I was kind of waiting for this video to kind of come out. Zavvi, of course, delivered mine a little late. Typical, there you go. We actually have the original release. I think it's called the Recall Edition. I'm actually missing the J card on my one, so I actually probably will at some point want to try and get another copy of this with the J card, because I don't like, to me, missing the J card is having the thing incomplete. I know some collectors actively throw away their J cards, which is crazy to me, but there you go. We also have the German version, the most boring out of them, because you can really barely see Schwarzenegger there. And then we have the American version. I think this one was a Best Buy exclusive, and obviously very different from the other ones. With the kind of the alien hand, but I actually quite like this cover because I think it's kind of clever. Again, I'm missing the J card out of that one, which is a bit of a nag, but there you go. And then also from Best Buy, although I want to say this is the Canadian version, we have the Mondo Steelbook. A lot of people go crazy for Mondo Steelbooks. I think they're a bit hit and miss, and I'll be honest with you, I think they're more misses than hits. And I don't particularly like this Steelbook a lot, really, because it's kind of boring. but I wanted to get, obviously, all of the Steelbooks for Total Recall, so I had to pick this one up. But I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it's one of the most exciting Steelbooks ever.
Here is Sub-Zero! Now, Plane Zero!
Moving on to The Running Man. This is the UK edition, and again, I'm going to point out there are 2 UK editions. This one is, the actual Steelbook for this one, the UK editions are the same, but there is a exclusive collector's edition, and this one contains art cards and a pin badge, which is this one here, as you can kind of see on the J card. Now, the J card's going to be the only thing that's different about the actual Steelbook itself, and obviously the actual thing that contains these badges and stuff. The other Steelbook is the same Steelbook, just has a slightly different J card and doesn't contain the badges or the badges or the pin card. Now, I'm going to leave that one there for a second because I want to show you compared to the German version. Now, the German version actually came out first and is the same basic Steelbook, but there are some differences. You'll notice, first of all, that it has this graphic on the front. That's actually an overlay from a PET clear slipcase on the front. So the actual Steelbook itself is the same, but the colour is different here. And as you can see, Schwarzenegger's name is slightly kind of different here. So there are some mild changes. I think the spine was also different. And if we have a look at the back here again, there's some differences. All right, so that is the German version versus the UK version.
You did not make it, Victor.
Moving on to Red Heat. This is the German MediaMarkt exclusive. This one came out before the 4K one, and has this obviously kind of monochrome style artwork to it. And then we have the 4K version. Now, I got the French version because I thought it came with a proper cover. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it does. I've got the hammer and sickle on my one. Let me tell you, this one was a little poorly described. It's actually exactly the same Steelbook, but the French didn't want to have the hammer and sickle on the front. They just turned the Steelbook round. So this is actually the back of it. And the front of the Steelbook's actually backed onto there with the hammer and sickle. And I was like, God damn it, because I've obviously got the French title here, which kind of bugs me. So I wish I had just got the British one now. But I got this one because I preferred to have the actual characters in the front. So there you go. You live and learn.
Leave anything for us?
Just bodies.
Commando. This is some great artwork. You know, I had never seen this artwork until the Steelbook came out. Much, much better, I think, than the kind of like the VHS and all of this artwork. Great, great artwork. Love it. And there you go on the back. And then we have the Director's Cut, which is a Zavvi exclusive. Which has just not much more into it, to be honest with you. There's a couple of extra scenes, really, and that's really it. And there's actually a third Steelbook that I want to get for this one, which is a... you can get the Film Arena one, which I think is this same Steelbook, but it just has the kind of the sleeve and all of that. But there's actually a Japanese Steelbook, which has completely different... artwork and stuff on there. So at some point I want to get the Japanese one, but that's not cheap, to be honest. Collateral Damage, a film which kind of, not a lot of people, I would say it's one of Arnold's favourite films. I don't mind it, if I'm honest, but this is a German Steelbook. Kind of got forgotten about, to be honest.
To be or not to be?
not to be.
Then we have The Last Action Hero. Now this Steelbook, so far to date, is the UK is the only place that got the Steelbook for this one. And you might be thinking that's kind of one boring looking Steelbook. It's meant to be like a cinema ticket. That's the idea for the design here. I don't particularly think it's a particularly interesting idea, but there you go. But nonetheless, because the UK is the only place to get a Steelbook, this particular Steelbook has become quite sought after, and it's one of the more pricey Steelbooks to get from the Arnold sort of catalogue, really. This is The Last Stand, a movie that I still haven't watched, and I've got multiple times now. This is actually a Dutch version, and I got this relatively recently. I will put it next to the German version, which is incredibly similar. And, you know, I got these two versions, and I got the German one first, and I thought, I ordered the Dutch one, I thought, oh, that looks different. And it is different, but barely. I mean, you've got the kind of the car, the German one's obviously got the border, and you've got a slightly different kind of like layout and stuff, but it's more or less the same. So it's a bit like, oh, did I really need to double dip on that one? Probably not, but there you go. The UK Steelbook is, I think, the most fun, and has this kind of comic book style aesthetic to it. I believe this was a Zavvi one. And then we have the Gold Badge edition, which is a German version, and I love that one. I just think it's so catching. I really, really like it. Actually, I'm going to leave that just there for a second, because I'm going to show you Sabotage, which was the next film, obviously, and that has obviously the very similar aesthetic. So you can kind of get both of these movies, both with his badge there. And this again is a German version. Sabotage I have seen. There's also the kind of the standard German version as well. There's actually a couple of different versions of this that I have yet to get.
Can't do that. Wrong.
Moving on to the big series, Terminator. This is one of many Terminator Steelbooks that we are going to go through. I think this one was a Play.com exclusive, I want to say. Some nice artwork on this, but one thing you will notice with the Terminator Steelbooks is they have yet to release one with the original artwork on, where it's kind of like, you know, his gun up and with the kind of like the red lines behind him. They have got this one, which is another UK one. This is a Zavvi version, and I'm going to put that on there. And this is a partial image from that one. There's a close-up of his face, but not the full image. And then we have a third UK Steelbook, which came out most recently, and this was for when they released Dark Fate. So let's just have a look at the back of these. We'll just turn them all over. There you go. However, there are still more Steelbooks to come from Terminator. We have the German version. Again, a slightly different pose. Obviously, this was the original pose here was clearly taken from the same sort of photo shoot where Arnie had his, classic pose, but slightly different, alternative one. And then we have this one here, which is a HD Zeta premium one. And this one here has got the lenticular outer slip case. And it is limited to 1,100 pieces. I'm not going to do a full unboxing for this. But essentially you get a different Steelbook inside. And you get a books, postcards, that kind of thing. It's a nice release. AC Zeta have done a bunch of releases for that. Okay, moving on to Terminator 2. This, to be honest, is one of the ones that's got the most releases. This one relatively recent. This is the Zavvi one, and this is a glow-in-the-dark version. Now, Film Arena did the same Steelbook, but I think it was had a slightly different kind of glossy finish to it. But I like the glow-in-the-dark one. I'm a sucker for glow-in-the-dark. Then we have the, I think this was the original Zavvi release, I want to say. And then we have what's known as the Skynet edition. And this one is probably the most common, I would say, out of the Terminator 2 Steelbooks. Next one I'm going to show you is a Korean edition, and I'm leaving that one up there for a reason. This one has a slipcase, and I believe this was a kimchi DVD. And we're going to take this out of the slipcase because you can see it is a very similar cover, but there are some differences. Now you'll notice that the Korean version is called T2 rather than Terminator 2. The actual image as well pops a little bit more. You've got the kind of the embossed sort of eyes. The contrast looks a little different. So it's one of these cases where the Steelbooks are similar, like we've seen before, like I've shown you with the Conan ones and the Running Man ones. Similar looking Steelbooks that may be confused for the same Steelbook, but are actually a little different. Next up we have something completely different. I don't know how well this is going to show up because this kind of looks a little faint, but this is the Japanese version of Terminator 2. And it's essentially completely just solidly silver here with just the embossed logo on it. There are two versions of this. There was a re-released version that was actually done in, I think, like a metallic black, which I do not have, and that one is the rarer one, to be honest with you, although this one is still relatively scarce. So there is that other version as well, which one day I might get, but like I said, it goes for silly money. We also have the Terminator 3D edition. This was there is a UK version of this one, but I got the German one because it was cheaper. The colours are really muted on this one, though. I find it's just like, I don't know, it really doesn't pop much for me, this one. And then we have the Mondo ones. Now I don't often like the Mondo artwork. This one I actually do like. There's actually two versions of it here. The red one is the standard one, and this one is the variant version. And to be honest with you, in most cases when they do a variant version, the variant version tends to be the more sought after. But I would actually have to say the standard red version is the more scarce out of the two of them. It also has, as you can see, a considerably more detailed slip PET sleeve. So yeah, but I like the concept of this. I think it's quite fun. We have the American version. I've got to be honest with you, I think they've maybe overdone the Steelbooks with the endoskeleton, because there is so many. It's like, okay, how many different times do we need to see an endoskeleton? Terminator 3. This is actually an Italian version of the Steelbook, but the UK Steelbook is exactly the same outside of a different J card. This one actually goes for quite a lot of money, or at least the UK version does. I don't know as much the Italian one, but yeah, this one is one of the more scarce on the ground, because I think Terminator 3 is a little bit, you know, maligned really. And then we also have the German version of Terminator 3. Okay, Terminator Genesis. And this one also got a hell of a lot of Steelbooks to consider in. So this is a German version, and it seems to me with this particular film that countries each got a slightly different design. So we have that one. Also from Germany, there is this lenticular version. Now this has got a lenticular magnet, but it's the same design on the front here. And again, it's one of these ones that are quite dark. Not really sure how that's going to show up, but we'll just open it up so you can see the actual Steelbook itself. So there you have the lenticular, and then underneath you actually have the Steelbook itself, which actually pops out a hell of a lot better, I have to say. There you go. We have the UK version. This is quite common, to be honest. There is actually a plain archive version which is similar, except it's got a black background, which is one of the ones I don't have currently. Then we have the HD Zeta Gold Label edition, and again it's a Steelbook where I feel the image is a little lost. I think maybe it's a problem with Steelbooks in general. Sometimes the way they design the image doesn't really come across. This one is limited to 400 pieces, as you can kind of see there. Then we have the French version. I'm missing the J card from this one. That is the French version. Then we have the Zavvi re-release, and they released a bunch of films in this kind of style. The American version of this is actually easier to get than the UK version. And then finally we have Terminator Dark Fate, which was the latest film, and this one was an HMV exclusive. So actually this is the last one. There is only one Steelbook currently available for it, so one would imagine that this would get some later releases down the line.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Kill me! I'm here! Come on! Do it now! Kill me!
Okay, we are going to talk about my favourite Schwarzenegger film, that is Predator. This is a 3D version that I'm going to leave there just for a second so we can do another comparison here, because I'm going to show you the German version. Now, same Steelbook essentially, but this one you have the lenticular magnet, which gives you that effect of the heat vision. And I think it's one of the best uses of the lenticular effect. Other than that, it's exactly the same Steelbook. This lenticular version, I believe, was only available in MediaMarkt in Germany. Then we have the original release of Predator with the man himself, the big P on the front. And then we have another version, another German version, a variation of, you know, the original pose from the poster. I do like this cover actually. Then we have a later version that came out with a kind of stylized cover on it. This is actually a French version. It's the 4K one. And that leads me to the worst one I own. The weird art style that this German one has. Someone thought it was a good idea to have this as, oh, that's some great artwork. Yeah, let's put that as a steelbook. What the hell? Why? I guess because people like me have to buy it to be a completionist. But anyway, there you go. That is my collection of Arnold Schwarzenegger steelbooks as of the end of November 2020. What did you think? Any steelbooks that you particularly like or maybe haven't seen before, please do leave me a comment. And what Arnold Schwarzenegger steelbook would you like to see? Either a movie that has yet to have one, or maybe a steelbook that is from an existing film that has already a steelbook, like the original, like the Terminator, for example, but maybe you'd like to see the original artwork, something like that. Please leave me a comment down below. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Because I'm going to say, please.